Forget your salary. Forget your hourly rate. Forget what it says on your invoice. None of those metrics tell you what your time is actually worth, but this one does. Your effective hourly rate. This is what tells you what your time is actually worth when you compare your total gross income to the hours you had to put in to generate that income. This includes things like overtime worked, your commute to get to your job, or for business owners, things like admin, bookkeeping, chasing deals, chasing invoices, all contribute to your effective hourly rate. If you're only paying attention to your income and not factoring in your time, this is what can lead you to feel like you're doing a lot of work but never getting ahead. Once you know your effective hourly rate, you'll never look at how you spend your time the same way ever again. Every task, every opportunity, every quick favor gets measured against it. And that changes everything. So what is your effective hourly rate? Quite simply, it's your total income divided by the total amount of time required to generate that income. Let me use some easy numbers to show you. So let's say you earn $1,000 a week and you work a normal 40-hour week. On the surface, your effective hourly rate is $25 an hour. Okay, but now let's factor in 2 hours of overtime plus an hour commute each way, 5 days a week. That's actually an extra 12 hours. So $1,000 divided by 52 now. Oh, the right handwriting is awful today with just the finger. But we come to $19.23. Put another way, that's $15,000 a year of time you are not being paid for. For business owners, there's even more to think about. Let's say you generate $2,500 of revenue per week. Then you've got to subtract your cost of goods, maybe that's $1,000. Let's say $500 for your operating expenses to arrive at your net profit. Then you can divide that by your time. So it's the same concept, there's just more factors to consider. As a business owner and someone who's been tracking their effective hourly rate for the past 11 years, here's how understanding what my time is worth has helped me. First, there's opportunity cost. Let's say you value your time at $100 an hour and you have a project like creating a website for your business. And it's going to cost you $50 an hour to hire a developer. In that case, it makes much more financial sense to have a developer build the website so that you can focus on higher value work. I actually recently went through this exact exercise. About 10 years ago, when I started my business, I built my own website from scratch. It took ages and the quality speaks for itself. When we redid the Mineco website recently, it was an obvious decision to pay a developer, not only because my effective hourly rate is now higher, but the opportunity cost means there are much more important, higher value things that I can be doing now that a developer can't do. A developer is also going to produce the website in less time and produce a better outcome. The same concept applies to salaried employees. Let's say you choose to take a job closer to home that saves you 2 hours a day, even if it pays a little bit less. It still means you have more time to spend with friends, family, or just do things you enjoy. Number two, and this is a big one, is understanding your effective hourly rate helps you identify when to say no to an opportunity or an idea. For example, sometimes we get approached by a prospect who throws out all kinds of red flags. They say, I've got a quick project, should be easy. They sometimes say, this is my budget, this is what I can pay for the job. We scope the project, work out how long it's going to take to deliver what they're asking for, and we realize to ourselves, this is actually going to have a lower effective hourly rate than our standard normal work. We can then go back to the prospect and say, hey, look, sorry, we can't do it for this price. Here's a more realistic figure. For a salaried employee, maybe you've been in a situation where one of your colleagues has left and now you've picked up the slack. This might be okay for a week or two, but if your employer doesn't replace that person and now you're just doing all this extra work, you may need to turn around and say, sorry, I can't do this, or you're going to have to pay me more. Number three, knowing your effective hourly rate helps you identify tasks you can automate. For example, we recently built a workflow for one of our clients in Zapier that saves their admin team about 10 hours a week as they're not having to do manual data entry and calculations. It cost them about $3,000 for us to set this up for them, and they will see the payback in just 12 weeks. Not to mention, now their admin team has more time to spend on higher value tasks. And number four, Knowing your effective hourly rate helps you identify when to hire that next person or delegate work to somebody on your team. This is something talked about a lot in one of my favorite books, Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. I'll link up here a video I made recently all about how this book helped me to completely reinvent my business. So how do you actually calculate and keep track of your effective hourly rate? Personally, I find the best way to do this is using a spreadsheet, and this is actually how I've been doing it for the last 11 years. I have a profit and loss statement a bit like this with my hours at the bottom. So you can see here what I've done is at the top I've got all sources of income. For example, a weekly salary plus an income from a side hustle. Let's pretend I'm running a professional cat photography business. You then subtract any cost of goods and operating expenses related to that business to arrive at your net profit. Now that's where most profit and loss reporting ends, but what I've done is I've added time at the bottom. So you can see I've broken this down with hours worked, my commute plus side hustle hours to arrive at total hours worked for the week. So when you divide that net profit by total hours, you arrive at an effective hourly rate. And this is something I keep track of every single month. This isn't just something I think about once and then move on from. For me, keeping track of my hours worked and my effective hourly rate is as important as the profit and income I'm generating. This helps me to spot trends or identify patterns and make adjustments in real time. So I challenge you to calculate and start keeping track of your effective hourly rate. Start with 1 week and you might be surprised or maybe even a little disappointed by what you find. If you have any questions, leave me a comment down below, and thank you very much for watching.